straw poll here. How many people like change? How many honest people in this room? No, you can seriously like change, by the way. But what happens when you change is you're constantly confronted by a new situation, and you either back yourself or you succumb. And somewhere down the line you tell yourself, my life's happy. Yeah, I know what's coming at me, I've got a nice little routine. Change comes and challenges all that. So companies that are constantly innovative are taking risks, but the way to counter that is that everybody down the line is part of it. And the whole atmosphere is, let's get out of our comfort zone. Steve Ball's book was autobiography is called Out of My Comfort Zone. It's not a bad title, is it? It's not a bad motto for this bank either. The world's local bank, right? Because the problem is, if you don't innovate, if you don't take a risk, someone else will. It'll be a lovely world if you say, you know what, I'm not going to take a risk, but you are not allowed to take either. That's great, right? But that doesn't always happen. So innovation is critical. The one quality you will see in every team that's doing well is a great desire to do better year after year. And this is something that drives talent. I've yet to meet a very driven talent, wonderful performer, who doesn't want to be better the following year. Because there's a big high in that, isn't it? It's like saying, you know, last year I averaged 42. This year, you know what? I desperately want to average 35. How many people do you think progress like that? Continuous improvement. What do teams do? Why do you need to improve all the time? Because you need to maintain the lead all the time. Because if you don't improve, somebody else is. And if somebody else is improving, they're sniping at your heels all the time. So unless you improve, you won't maintain the distance. So good teams will maintain the lead at all times. That's what Australia are good at doing. That's what Manchester United have been good at doing over the years. That's what the Bulls kept doing consistently when they had Michael Jordan playing basketball, not baseball. You know, Jordan tried to play baseball as well. Yeah, it's like me trying to go and dance. There's some things you can do and there's some things you can't do. But important to maintain the lead all the time, especially in the world of change. Hasn't it been outstanding the way the world has changed and moved ahead, at least in business sphere, if not in the political sphere, over the last 10 or 15 years? I'm not going to talk about where it's going politically because people can have strong views, and that's for CNN because they are in the business of peddling bad news. We're here to talk about good news. Listen, if there was no bad news, there would be no news networks, you know that. There wouldn't be. And that's why sometimes people search for bad news. Continuous improvement, especially in a world of change, where new technology is coming all the time, newer ways of playing, new athletes are coming along, new performance enhancers are coming along all the time. If you don't take performance, wouldn't it be great in the banking industry if you could take a bit of an Android loan? Don't allow success to make you complacent, because I don't know if some of you have seen it in your life, but I have. I mean, there have been occasions when I've thought, I'm doing all right, you know. And you just turn up on the morning of a cricket match, you know it's a 1 hour pre-show, you know you're going live, and you turn up and you say, okay, what are we talking about this morning, 5 minutes before you go on air? And something happens, and you discover that you've got to kick up the backside. Something surprises you, something somewhere tells you, listen buddy, you got away today, you weren't prepared. If you're not improving all the time, if you're allowing success to make you complacent, then you get a kick up the backside. And therefore, teams that are going up all the time, don't allow success to make them complacent. How many times have you heard a champion team sitting back and saying, you know what, wow, we've done it all, man, we're just going to sit back now? There's a lot of pride in winning teams. And I think right to the day today, and over the next 365 days, and I guess over the last 365 days, you'd have heard the word pride very often. It's an essential attribute. It's pride that drives people to improve all the time. And it's pride that makes you do things that you want to do, rather than things that you have to do. And sometimes, actually, if you make a list of all the things that you have to do, it's a good exercise sometimes. You know, when you've got a bit of time, like when you're listening to this guy talking and don't have anything else to do, you can start scribbling a few things. You can doodle a little, but scribble a little bit as well. And say, what are the things that I'm doing these days? How many of them do I have to do, and how many of them do I want to do? And you'll find that the things you want to do, you do them far better than the things you have to do. Do you think Shane Warne takes the ball and says, shit man, another bloody day of leg spin bowling? Do you think Mackay and Tini is running up and bowling, oh bloody, another day's cricket, why couldn't I be back in border on my little farm? Or you think Murli is running into bowl? How many? Some of you know Murli as well? You think Murli gets up one morning and saying, you know what, the last thing I want is a ball in my hand? When you do things that you want to do, you do them much better. And that's what pride does. It makes you want to improve all the time. So I'll play you a little clip, the first of a couple that I'm going to play, from a team that symbolized improvement through the middle 90s. You know, South Africa first came into international cricket in 1991. It's 15 years now, since at 1 week's notice South Africa took a team to the Eden Gardens with 3 one-day internationals. It's virtually 15 years today. And then, through the mid-90s, every time you played South Africa, you thought you were playing a different side. And there was a reason for that. And many years ago, I did this interview with a talismanic South African cricketer, who, even though he's not in the South African style, still draws a cheer every time he runs onto the ground. And I asked him about this desire to improve, and it's interesting what he said.
To be the best in your field,
Volume's up, Simon?
I think you can't be satisfied with the situation that you're at. If you're happy,
can you hear the back? Yeah, well, I can, but that's not good.
Next level to rise to. And I think the whole South African side, not just in the fielding, but we've always tried to.
Here we go. Listen, he's normally so active, right? It feels good to see him like that.
So to be the best in your field, I think you can't be satisfied with the situation that you're at. And if you're happy with what you're doing, there's always the next level to rise to. And I think the whole South African side, not just in the fielding, but we've always tried to sort of stay one step ahead of the opposition in every aspect, batting, bowling and fielding. So that kind of drive, not just for the individual, but for the whole team too, is trying to aspire to improve your game season after season. So